we could spend a couple hours on that alone. Out of my immediate family growing up, I'm the only Christian left.
Mm,
We were raised nominally Christian. We wore the title, we went to church, but it was never a serious a cornerstone of the family
mm,
and of the family structure. There was never any prayer, never any scripture reading, never any serious dealing with sin. So much so that I remember when my mother found out that I was looking at things on the internet that I wasn't supposed to. She said, "Are you doing this?" And me being a preteen, I said, "I'm not doing that." And that was the end of it. She said, "Oh, okay." And then I spent the next, however many years, But that's
yeah.
just kind of a snapshot where we were Christian, but it was so surface level. And now, as an adult, seeing what's become of it, I've seen the fruit of nominal Christianity. And in
Mm,
today's culture, you can't be a nominal Christian and remain a
mhm,
Christian. It just doesn't work.
mhm,
Um, and so, but the church we went to a Word of Faith church, and they started out not so heavy on the prosperity gospel, but then over the years they went more and more into it. And my family had all left the church; they were out doing their own thing, but I was still in this church. And they started getting more and more into the prosperity gospel, name it, claim it, speaking things into existence is something that they were really big on. You can speak your
mm,
reality.
of
If you
course.
have enough faith, you can get a lot of money and you can have a good life. It's all
Mhm,
about your faith. Um, and I was the youth pastor of this church. I was
mm,
their drummer. I was their technical director. Like, I was deep in this church. I went to Word of Faith conferences. I met with like top tier Word of Faith guys. I personally met Tony Cook. I personally met Keith Moore. Like, some of the
mm,
top tier Word of Faith guys. I was deep in Word of Faith. And
mm,
then what happened to me is I went through a just soul crushing experience where my faith was just rocked, and
mm,
all of the things that I was taught, about how if you're a Christian, good things will happen, blessings upon blessings, glory to glory, only good
mm,
stuff. Suddenly I started to question some of these things that I thought were fundamental to Christianity. And so what I did is I reached out to a certified Bible counselor, who was not a part of Word of Faith. And he walked me through, for the first time in my life, he opened up the scriptures and walked through systematically Romans chapter 8. All things work together for the good of those who are called by God and love God.
mm,
And for the first time, actually hearing the scriptures preached, really, because in Word of Faith, they don't preach the scriptures. They preach their ideas and then they try to shoehorn the scriptures in. But for the first time, hearing the scriptures speak, I feel like in that moment, my spirit came alive to God, and I
mm,
wanted more, and I had to learn the Bible. So I started reading the scriptures for myself, and I started listening to MacArthur, Piper, a lot of these more reformed guys, not
mhm,
because they were reformed, because I didn't know what reformed theology was, but these guys were just preaching the scriptures. So I just
right.
gravitated toward them. And so, um, yeah, so, and then I started to kind of question some of the things that were being said on Sunday morning. I remember there was this one guest speaker who got up and he said, "Many of you guys have been told lies your whole life. The lie that God is in control. God is not in control of the world. He has no control over this world. He gave it up to the devil, and we're using our faith to fight the devil." And I'm listening to that, and I'm like, there's no way that that's scriptural. There's no way that,
No.
like, are we reading the same Bible? There's no. So a lot of the stuff is kind of going on, and I'm meeting with the pastors, and I'm saying, hey, here's what I'm wrestling with. I can't be the youth pastor in this season because here's what I'm going through, and
Mm,
it did not go well at all. They asked me and my wife to leave the church. And so that was also really painful. So it was just a season of God breaking me down and rebuilding me and showing me who He is, not what they um, not what the Word of Faith preachers were trying to make Him out to be. So all that to say, when I started to get into Reformed theology, I started to learn about James White. I started to learn
mhm,
about Jeff Durbin. And I remember I was in a Facebook group for Reformed theology, and somebody posted the Greg Bonson and Gordon Stein debate. and they said, "This is the greatest debate you'll ever listen to." And I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. And
Mhm.
brother, let me tell you, I listened to that debate, and I said to myself, I have to learn how to do that. I
Amen.
have to know how he did that. I gotta learn that. And so I started getting all the Van Til, all the Bonson, all the White. I've listened to so much of James White. It's so I'm just devouring all this Reformed theology, and the apologetics came naturally.
Yeah.
Um, and the culture that I find myself in, there's so much uh, atheism, but a weird spiritual atheism that I